Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 377. This is your guide to the geek side, and I am one of your hosts, Todd, the moving man Oxtra, joined by Charlie, don't show me your eagle, Carden.
Eagle? Is there an eagle behind me?
The middle finger.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, this is we're coming off a surgery week here over on Lakeside Drive. I had a finger surgery on Monday. April had a big procedure on Wednesday. She's doing really today.
Follow Charlie's Twitter for April's updates.
Yes, me. Please follow
your
me.
Medical privacy is your business.
Maybe I should give her a fake name. Let's see here. My wife, May June.
Yes. So we're glad everybody's in a better place. We're getting ready for the Memorial Day weekend, which is going to be a blast. And holy crap, Charlie, hold on to your seats because next week we are going to have a crap ton of like TV and things to talk about. So just hold on because you're going to be into it. We're in the cusp of cool things coming. But before we talk about that, we need to talk about this wonderful cover. Batman, number 377, where Batman has lost his arms. He's turned into a bat. It's little Nemo on a bed. And then we've got Suspiria, or Nocturna, means nightmare, making everyone crazy. This is from November 1984.
Who's having the dream? Is that supposed to be Dick Grayson?
Or I think it is. He's got a Robin. Maybe it's
it's
a precursor before Robin. Before he became Robin, he was, the Ward and
having some dreams.
Yeah.
So wait, this is from November 94 and it was
84.
Oh, not 95p. So this is the overseas version.
Yes.
It's not. Yeah. If it was 95 cents, that would be November of 84 and it was 95 cents. That's insane.
Yeah.
Cause comics, were 60 to 70, 60, 65 or 75.
75 for DC around.
That's
84,
right.
85. Yeah.
That's
right.
They
quality, Charlie.
Well, yes, I'm sure that's what they thought. And this is weird. You see, he's wearing a cape, but then there's also more cape up here. If you look in the upper left-hand corner to the right of the DC sigil, there's more yellow, and there's another bat, and there's just there's a lot of bat happenings.
Except for Batman has no cape, but he has wings.
Right, exactly. Yeah, or arms, like you said. What do you call a guy with no arms and no legs in a pool?
Bob.
There you go.
What do you call a man with no arms or legs on the wall?
Fly.
Art. What do you call a man with no arms and legs on the floor?
Rug.
Matt. Sorry, this is not about a podcast where we make fun of amputees. This is that's a bad joke. Sorry, take it out. Take it out. We're done with that. We're done.
Cut it out.
But as we move from this cover to a person we never make fun of, that is Madam Webb with our rumors and news. So let's go.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Celebrations for Star Wars have officially begun. You'll hear this tomorrow. And guess who's dressed up like Babu Frick's mom? That's right, Madam Webb. She's trying to create a thing. I don't know if it'll happen. But she's growing the mustache, God. Charlie. She's growing the mustache.
I guess she puts Billy D to shame. My God. All right, up first, before we talk about Star Wars, the punch-ups in the hallway show is coming back, or a version of it is coming back. Daredevil, new series on Disney Plus is in the works with Matt Corman and Chris Ord set to write. Don't know who they are. I probably should, since this is my sourced article. Whoops! But yeah, it was, we knew that back in the late winter, early springtime, the Netflix, it was March 1st, all of the Marvel Netflix series, Luke Cage and Daredevil and Defenders, they all got the boot. They got dropped. Well, Disney, swung in and snagged them up, and now it led to the age gating of Disney Plus. Now they do have a little bit more mature content getting with the times. So they're talking about bringing Daredevil back. So I assume this means he's going to be in the MCU now officially, which of course we saw him in Spider-Man No Way Home. So he is sort of. But yeah, the series is going to be swinging back with Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk, who we did see in Hawkeye getting blown up by some arrows and stuff. But yeah, we don't have a ton of more information. But also we've got Piper Perabo from the It's So Bad It's Good We Watch It Once a Year Coyote Ugly. It's a wife that movie that April likes. And Christopher Gorman.
No, they're not in it, Charlie.
Oh, they're not?
The creators of the showrunners made Covert Affairs, which had those people in it.
What a weird thing to put in there. Like, these people were in the show we made, because I was just reading it like that was part of the announcement.
No, I'm just saying that's what they did. So
I have no idea what I'm doing. So really, this article doesn't seem to have a lot of meat, but we know that it is happening. Todd, you famously were a little sour on the whole Daredevil scenario after the first season. So
I loved season 1, and everything else for that felt kind of like lower fruit.
Yep.
They brought back Kingpin again. I mean, they brought in Elektra. She was kind of subpar. They brought in Punisher, which I felt like I've never really cared for the Punisher, because he's essentially a dude who kills a lot of people. So
right.
Not, good or bad.
So
he's not a hero.
Disney,
so it's like, it just to me is like, I don't care. He has pain. So does all the other heroes, but they don't go off and kill people with AR-15s. But that's just me. So this is going to be interesting, because people are going to expect this to be the Netflix show. It's not. Did you know, Charlie, that the Daredevil show never had the same creators and showrunners for every season? They had different ones.
Oh, really? These
aren't even. Yeah, these people are not even related to it. And guess what? The Kingpin, who was introduced in this show, which was introduced in Hawkeye, is not the same Kingpin. So
they're gonna swap out the Kingpin?
No, this is not. No, the Kingpin is not. That's not the same version of the Kingpin. This is essentially a multiverse thing. Because Wilson Fisk, remember, he was wearing the Hawaiian shirt, doing those things. So essentially, that version of Daredevil, like with all the drama and stuff behind, is dead. We're not getting that version. We're getting Charlie Cox playing Daredevil, but he's not going to be the same Matt Murdock. We have Echo, who is introduced in that show, who's going to be probably part of the show, because she's getting her own spinoff. So I think people have to change their mindset, and I think this is for the best, because guess what? The Daredevil that was part of that show, I don't think he blends well with the MCU, because he was not exactly set up to take on bigger threats, because he barely managed
he was just all about being dead pretty much all over the place in that show. Night Nurse is saving him because he's got shot 40 times and somebody drove a truck over him. It was just not a good setup. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess at a blush I would have more interest if they were trying to pick up a thread on what had been done before, but I don't know.
I don't know. I think we can take some classic Daredevil stories and convert it to this, because Bullseye has still not been introduced. And that's his main adversary. So I think it's some pivots to really bring it in. Typhoid Mary was she introduced?
Yes. And I don't, you know what? We didn't even finish the last season of it. And it was Alice Eve, actress Alice Eve was cast as Typhoid Mary. And I think we were just like, this kind of sucks. And we just didn't watch it. So it was hard to beat the climax of season 1 and everything they did, and it felt like they were just trying to repeat, and I just felt like it just fell flat. So I would love to see Daredevil brought back if he is. I like the actor, but give him a new spin, maybe a different power set where he actually fits better with the other Marvel heroes. More of that, he's really the best fighter. He has that intuition and the radar, which makes him more of a threat and makes him more capable. You're saying bring back the Ben Affleck vibe, and maybe a soundtrack by Evanescence.
Sure, I'm all for it. Why not, Charlie?
It's 2003 all over again. Oh my goodness! Speaking of things related to Marvel, what else we got?
Yeah, this one's an interesting one, because he is one of the last power players in the MCU that we have seen that's not tied to the FF or really X-Men, and that is Namor. Namor was the original mutant in the Marvel universe. He was one of the first Marvel characters, along with the Human Torch, the android. So the fact that he's been missing, and he is the king of Atlantis, and essentially has always been kind of an anti-hero. You never knew who he fought. He loved Sue Storm, and there was a lot of dynamics there, and we never knew where Namor would put his where he would throw in with when a conflict arose. So they're talking about he's eventually going to be showing him, basically coming into the MCU, which is cool. And apparently he's going to be making his debut in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which is very cool. Two kings, whatever. That's kind of neat. Because they did mention some things happening in the ocean previously.
That's right. An earthquake under the ocean.
Yeah, but they are changing it up. He's going to be played by a Mexican actor, Tenoch Huerta, and basically his origin is going to be the son of a human sea captain and a princess of the undersea kingdom of Atlantis. Nemo's origin story will
be sea captain.
Yep, it'll be changed from its Greek roots to Mayan culture, which is very cool. It's very timely. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. Mayan, sea, what have you. I like it. Yeah. So
Atlantis could be off the coast of the Gulf of Mexico. Why not?
Well, like Cobra Island.
Sure.
Yeah, this dude right here.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, this is kind of cool because Namor was one of the Illuminati. We got the Illuminati, which in one version of the Illuminati, essentially, doesn't mean it's the primary version, which Namor sat on. So I think this is all coming into play, Charlie. We're going to get all these cool pieces, and I think that's how Marvel goes to the next era by raising the stakes with new characters.
Got to, yeah, exactly. Because if you have actors and in actors' age, so you don't, necessarily want to, do you want, 40-year-old Cap, 50-year-old Cap? Because Chris Evans, I think he's younger than us, but he's not a whole lot younger than us. You know what I mean? How old is he? Maybe in his early 40s?
I am looking it up. He is now 40 years old, born in 81.
There you go. So yes, not so much, not such the spring chicken anymore. My goodness. Well, speaking of springless chickens, we had Din Djarin, the no longer a Mandalorian, confirmed for season 3 in February of next year. For my birthday, yay, birthday for Charlie, and I will be 47. Much like Todd, I'm thinking of a podcast. It's very near and dear to my heart that has a 47 in it. Do you remember what the name of that is?
It is 47 Ways to Leave Your Lover podcast.
Oh, there you go. That's Paul Simon. Paul Simon on sale. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Right.
Save 3.
Right.
No, that's the Magic Star Trek number, and why we named our Star Trek show Code 47 the Captain's Emergency Emergency. But anyway, back to talking about the Star War, which we got more of that to go. So it was. It's coming on back. With Star Wars Celebration, there's a lot of that news flying around. Don't really know what's going on with him. Oh, wait, yes, we do. Because basically 30% of the book of Boba Fett was all about him. So, yeah, in course of this, he got kicked out of his Mandalorian tribe.
Why are we talking about Mandalorian?
I don't know.
We're supposed to be talking about Andor.
Because that was the link I had open. Why do I have
look at the flow, Charlie? The first thing we were going to talk about was Andor. Then we were going to talk about Willow. Then we were going to talk about the Mandalorian. Really, not much anything to talk about the Mandalorian. It's coming, so that's really there's not much to talk about. So we're going to put a pause here. We're going to say,
I had the link open. I'm sorry.
Well, there's no link for it, so you have to.
There is. There is.
There's no Andor trailer.
No. There was a link for the Mandalorian that I understand.
But the first thing,
and so I drift. I can see that now. See, there. So now I'm 1 to your 3.
Thank you.
1 to your 3.
I will put 9 or whatever it was, and I will fix that. We'll go from there. Okay. There's really nothing to talk about in the Mandalorian except it's coming. So really, I don't know what else you say. They didn't show anything.
How about the Andalorian? All right, count me back in then.
Yep. Okay, we're already going. So.
Okay. And 3, 2, 1, go. So, Star Wars Celebration. It's the thing that Todd waits for every year. There's no bigger Star Wars fan I've ever met in my life than Todd Extra.
Correctamundo. May the force be with you, Charlie.
May the force be with somebody. But anyway.
I'm showing my Star Wars sign right now.
Is it? You know what? I scroll windows. Oh, there you go. I thought you were flipping me off. But yeah, we've had. It's funny. We're recording this on Thursday night to drop tomorrow, which is Friday, because we're lazy like that. Or life happens. But Star Wars Celebration started late this morning out in Anaheim in California, and they've already kind of. I don't want to use the expression "blown their load," but all the big stuff is kind of out there now. But I did it. That's right. We've got a handful of things on August 31. We are getting Andor. and we received a teaser trailer for it, about a minute and a half of the stuff that did not get Todd excited. But this will be taking place, if I remember the notes, prior to maybe 5, 6, 7 years prior to the end of Andor, which was in Rogue One, and kind of how he's getting stuff started. We're also seeing actress Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma. That's the other familiar face-ish, I guess. And it actually kind of got more of a Clone Wars vibe out of here. They had the ships, the armor looked the same. So I don't know that I'm 100% about that time frame. So, but you even saw the Senate. Todd, I know you love the Senate. It's your favorite part of Star Wars, right?
Love the politics, Charlie.
The politics. There's nothing better. They might as well just call it politics.
Will they pass that road construction bill? That's what I'm curious about.
I mean, I hope so. Hopefully that's the focus of the first episode.
Stimulus package for blue milk farmers. Come on.
This series will also be episode count longer than the other shows that we are getting, which include just tomorrow will be the first episode of the first 2 episodes of the 6 of Kenobi, which I'm super fired up about. So, so Todd,
this season, the first season is going to be. I'm just reading more details. I pulled up a link.
You cheated.
The first season is going to be 12 episodes long.
Yeah, that's literally what
It's double Kenobi, which I've learned with these series with more episodes, it means there's just more filler.
Literally what I just said.
Yes.
That it was the longest. So thank you very much.
Yes.
But yes, I agree with you. The propensity for filler is high because look at the Book of Boba Fett.
And that was 6 episodes.
It was 6 episodes, and 2 1/4 of them were about Mando.
Absolutely. And the fact that this is season 1, they're confirming there's already 2 seasons, which
of Andor. I would say
Andor, yeah.
There is no confirmation on Kenobi. I know it's being bandied about, but I don't know. You know what, Todd? Who knows? They said the same thing about Bad Batch. I wasn't thrilled by Bad Batch, but maybe they're going to come back and do something amazing. When they come back, they'll do it. They'll do a time jump. It'll be something different. You know, I wouldn't. And we talked about this on the Holocron. I wouldn't mind seeing the Bad Batch if they, jumped it forward 10 years, and that now Omega is not a kid in trouble anymore. Now she's a plucky young adult. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, do something interesting with it. Jump it forward, saying we found these retired clones and we bring them in a story that makes sense versus just we've got to fill every gap, because if we don't fill every gap, then people won't know what happens because people have no imagination and they can't make up their mind. It's silly.
Yes,
it's just silly that you have to fill in all the gaps.
That is correct. Well, I know you're not fired up about that, but I know you are super fired up about this next thing.
Well, but I just with Andor, in these clips, I saw no hook to make me feel like, oh, they're doing something different. This looks like it's just going to do more insurrections, trying to get the rebellion started earlier. I think that's it. And but how is that really that interesting? Unless you're saying there was a big effort that happened because of this that we never saw, and that's what turned the tide. I don't know. And to me, it's like, regardless, we know what was the outcome was. So I'm just struggling with putting so much of Star Wars into this era again. It's just like, guys, let's move on.
It's all very prequely. I agree with you.
This could be great, though. I liked Rogue One, but I don't know if Rogue One was 2 hours long, and they didn't overstate their welcome, and they told a solid story.
They really did. So you don't know that you don't know until you see it.
Yes,
and we'll all end up seeing it. But speaking of you having no fire for that, I don't really have any fire for this next thing, but I can tell you're excited, so go for it.
Well, because Willow got a trailer for the sequel series, which, it's funny. I always refer to the Goldberg episode where Adam Goldberg was so excited about Willow because this is the follow-up, the next thing that George Lucas is doing. It's going to be so big. And then it was Willow. And that's the whole part. Right. Willow was really, I think, where The Emperor Had No Clothes, we once again saw that George Lucas is not really good at kind of really telling great stories with good acting and things like that. He didn't direct it, but it was his idea and essentially his story and things like that. And we know with Lucas, he's always better when he's got people to execute his vision. that are really good, and nobody really good was against Willow. It was Ron Howard's one of his first movies, so he was still a very young director. I think that was his project coming after Splash, and we ultimately saw Ron Howard, what he does with genre films with Han Solo. He's just not very imaginative. He's just a very good storyteller when it's a very standard story, like Apollo 13 thing. But when it comes to like fantastical things, I think he just doesn't get it, or he doesn't have a hand at that. So Willow was a flat film, didn't really perform well. Had a lot of promise. Val Kilmer was awesome in it. I thought the actors were fine. It was poor execution. Also, the graphics and the special effects kind of struggled because it was before CG, which probably would have helped it. But this trailer for this new series really looks cool. It's an older Willow. He's more established. He's a wizard. He's leading people through a new story, and it's can only go up, Charlie. That's what has me excited. I like fantasy. I always have. And because of that, this has promise, because I always thought Willow had a promise, but it just was unfulfilled. This makes me feel there could be promise. So that's why I'm so excited, because Willow has literally had nothing in 34 years. So you know what? Throw a dog a bone.
You're not afraid that this is going to turn out to be like, we brought you back a sequel for, I always go right to Independence Day with a sequel that nobody wanted.
Yeah, but Independence Day wasn't even a good movie to begin with, but people loved it and have nostalgia for it. It wasn't like well directed, well acted.
I mean,
Jeff Goldblum killed aliens with a MacBook.
It's like I said, a similar argument could be made, but again, all of fandom is about enjoying what you enjoy.
I think,
and not pissing at anybody else.
But I think filmmakers are much more akin to make fantasy good these days than they were back in the 80s with like Conan O'Brien and Beastmaster.
I was going to say, you just said Conan O'Brien,
yes,
Conan the Barbarian,
Conan the Librarian.
I was going to say, what was the other one I was thinking of that it starred the guy who was
Red Sonja?
No, it was Krull. I was thinking of Krull,
Beastmaster, any of those.
Yeah, the guy who was
crappy ones.
Krull went on to be a villain in Star Trek, so it's in DS9. So It's just this weird stuff.
My point being, fantasy was hard enough to pull off. George Lucas doing fantasy was even harder to pull off. So this is, like I said, nowhere to go up, but up.
But then
better production values, and Disney's behind it.
But Todd, then he gave us the prequels and then Red Tail, so I don't really know what you're complaining
No, he also
about.
gave us the animated musical, remember? With the trolls or whatever, where they sang like pop tunes.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah, that was his last project, Charlie. So we can say this: Lucas has more farts than he has fragrances.
Putting perfume. Don't pee down my leg and tell me it's raining.
Yes, well,
anyway,
let's move on to the shortest story of all time.
Oh my god, so short. Mandalorian coming out just in time for my birthday next year. Din Djarin, the star of the Book of the Boba Fett, will be reprising his role in that season, which I would assume would probably be, again, another 8 episodes, because that seems to be their sweet spot.
No, Charlie, there's 4 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett in this.
Oh, no, that's what they did. It's going to be a holdover.
Yoink.
Yeah, you're like, gotcha. You're still watching. You can't stop us.
It's 4 episodes of him learning how to make Tuscan cuisine. Making.
Wait a minute. Is it Under a Tuscan Sun?
I think so. I love it. It writes itself. Come on, have fun with me. Have fun with me. I'm trying to make fun of Star Wars.
And then wrapping it up, we do have fresh with a Google image of Jude Law to be the star of the Star Wars Skeleton Crew. And then Todd, so this is, it was funny because I heard John drop this on me earlier today, but I had heard a summary about it yesterday. Live action show, Jude Law and a group of 10-year-old kids trying to find their way home. You nailed it. This is the Star Trek prodigy of Star Wars.
Yes.
But it is live action. Otherwise, why would they give us the Google image of Jude Law's face?
Because they needed an image to say, we don't have anything, here's Jude Law.
But yeah, the new sweet spot is post Return of the Jedi, but 3 weeks later. And so this is going to plug in time frame ways with Mando, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka, which I would love if they would have told us something about that, because that's in production.
I thought Ahsoka was coming in I think they tied it into Mandalorian. Ahsoka's coming in 2023 as well.
It's that we didn't report on that. Did it say that in the Mando story?
I thought so. Yeah.
Well, shiver me timbers. Yeah, because I know that show's in
Coming
production
from
right now.
Todorama.
Todd
News source.
Orama. So, yeah, it did say this was reported on earlier this month and had a working title of Grammar Rodeo. Well, stop drilling, you've struck oil. That is the title that I wanted. A classic galactic version of a classic Amblin coming-of-age adventure of the 80s. So this is, it's like E.T., but there can be ETs in it.
Or
Think about it.
Goonies, or Stand By Me.
Maybe
or,
the
maybe
10-year-olds are all ETs because we know that is canonical to the Star Wars universe because of the Senate.
Well, the good news is John Watts is behind this. We talked about it. We like what he does.
Right.
So I think he's going to have it. He worked with kids actors with, Spider-Man, the Spider-Man films. And we've got obviously the standards with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni serving as producers because they want to keep everything tight. They want to make sure we don't have any characters being involved that can't, and they can push in some more Filoni-verse characters. I mean, who hasn't showed up yet, Charlie?
Filoni-verse sounds like baloney-verse. I like what he does.
Stinky the Hutt can show up.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, he'd be grown by now. Yeah,
there we go.
Or a Zero the Hutt, who was it the Truman Capote character?
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, wow. We are somewhere in Marin County, California. George Lucas is spinning in his oxygen tent because he knows we're ripping it. Oh, wait a minute. It's not him. He doesn't give a shit. Kathleen Kennedy is, sitting in a pentagram circle, casting spells against us. So
she's got the dark hold, and she is trying to find an alternate universe where somebody can take over Star Wars and she can retire with her golden parachute.
Oh, yes. You're right. At the bottom of this, it does say the confirmation of the third season of Mando and the premiere of Ahsoka in 2023. Yeah. So.
But you know what? We've asked for Star Wars to do genre things within Star Wars, so maybe this is going to be fun. But kids can either be horrible or great. It's a balance.
It's an absolute crapshoot, but things do tend to tilt in a not so great direction. But anyway, that's it for Star Wars. We will be back recording. We're on the cusp. We're recording again on Saturday for next week's show, so there might even be some more Star Wars news.
We will see. But until we get that, we have one last story, and this is kind of cool because I've been interested in the series because Blue Beetle is coming to DC. I believe it's going to be a standalone movie. I think it originally was going to be a HBO Max exclusive, but it's actually going to go to theaters now, which is actually what the new runner of HBO Media and Discovery says. He wants more films on screen. He doesn't want everything to be on streaming, and he wants to justify the high price to put it on the theaters first, then bring it to streaming. So I'm like, that's an interesting approach. So we got Blue Beetle, and Blue Beetle is a heritage DC character, actually a Charlton character that DC acquired from like the 1950s, brought in, and then really developed. And essentially, the original Blue Beetle was Ted Kord. He was an inventor. You saw shades of Blue Beetle in The Watchmen. Night Owl was that basically inspiration for that character, and just a really cool character. He established a really cool relationship. He was just a normal guy who invented cool stuff. But then we had a reboot of Blue Beetle during the New 52, where essentially Blue Beetle was actually an alien technology which latched on to a young teen, Jaime Reyes, who gained alien power similar to almost like an Iron Man with the nanites or whatever the things that he had. So he's a cool character, and it's really fun. He's been really cool, part of a really cool character people like. Plus he's an Hispanic character, and he's going to be the first Hispanic character to get his own mainstream film, and he's just a cool character. I like him a lot. He's fighting with the technology is fighting against him. I think this could be really cool, and the fact that it's got Miguel from Cobra Kai in this, and we see the costume, and it looks damn good for just being a shot from the side of the street.
Right, yeah, nothing that has been all CGI'd up and prettied up at all. So
it's comic accurate, which is really fantastic.
Well, and you don't see a ton of it, so that's cool. And this is a film or show?
It's going to be a film. It originally was supposed to be an HBO Max streaming film, but they are changing their perspective on where they want to have their films go. And if they're going to spend all this money, they'd rather have it go to the theaters first and then come to HBO Max.
HBO Max, very nice.
Very, very
I
nice.
like it. Well, that's a rapidy-roo on the news. And again, when we come back and record, again, long holiday weekend, nothing better to do. Let's make some podcasts. We'll be back with the pooper scooper of Star Wars news. If there's anything, which will be a week old by the time you listen to it. But you know what? We make it worth it. You know what I'm saying? We come in, we put the sweet spin on this deal. We got it figured out. But one thing that we've also have figured out for a good long time, get us on down to Scugtown, to Nastyville. That's right. That's where we have the Geek Easy, and we talk about what we're digging on. So let's go.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, cover band's playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. This week, Charlie, we're kind of getting into a transition where some shows are wrapping up, some things are happening, and we're just going to have a good time talking about some stuff we've both been watching. So this weekend, I saw that The Lost City was on Paramount Plus.
Oh, yeah!
I didn't realize it was already on there, so I'm like, very cool. And I watched
that movie. It's so weird how that kind of stuff sneaks up. Now, we did, and again, because we just go see movies like it ain't no thing because we enjoy getting out. So we saw this one a couple months ago, whatever it is. So what were you think? Were you sufficiently entertainerized?
Oh, I truly enjoyed it. It was probably a little long in the tooth in parts, but I didn't realize Brad Pitt was in this movie. Spoilers. And he was fantastic. What he did, some of the fighting he did was awesome. And I just loved the banter, the back and forth between the main characters. I loved that Harry Potter was a bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
It was just, it was romancing the stone with this generation.
For the cheekier era, without a doubt.
Yeah. And we got like that weird throwaway storyline with like the publicist with the guy from The Office, which just didn't even need to be there.
Right.
And beyond that, it was a pretty fun, entertaining movie. I enjoyed it.
Right. Good stuff. So, yeah. So, and on the flip side, looks like you saw something a little bit less serious that I think I talked about last week.
Less serious? Less serious?
Yes. Yes, in opposite world, it was much more serious.
Oh my goodness, Charlie, this movie, The Northman, you saw it before and you said, I'm going to see it because I want to see a certain someone. I just saw it because I saw this trailer and it just like blew me. I'm like, this is going to be like a Mad Max level, like intense movie.
Didn't Bjork make the movie for you?
Oh, I'm just like, that's Bjork? Okay, hello.
I know. It took me a minute, but that was her.
This movie felt like a drug-filled, like, Viking revenge tale. And apparently this movie was what Hamlet was actually based on, this actual true story about this Scandinavian prince whose his father was killed by a family member and mother was taken away, and it was all about him escaping as a 10-year-old and coming back. And it was just, some of the scenes were so intense and some of the scenes seemed so surrealistic. Like, I'm like, is that a Valkyrie really there? Is he imagining it? Why is Bjork there and not there?
Right.
Yeah. Is he fighting a Skeleton King or not? Yeah, it was just crazy. And some of the things were just very over the top violent. I mean, that one scene, Charlie, when you're introduced to him as an adult, where they're going to attack that village, and the guy throws the spear at him. Skarsgård turns around, picks it, and just throws it back. I'm like, oh, it's on. Like,
funk. Yeah,
but it's crazy. It's kind of like, you see them all in, and it's like, then you see them like 3 hours in, they had to take a break because they are exhausted. Right. Like, oh, I need a recharge. So, but man, there were no good guys. I mean, these were pillagers stealing slaves, and the good guy that you thought was a good guy, he was doing horrible things to people, and the parents were, and but it was a crazy kind of movie. To your point, the whole Vision Quest and the revenge tale, and essentially nobody really came out good. I mean, you've got like a widowed mom, and everybody's dead, and
and the widowed mom was like, she was she ended up being awful, and then the end of it, everybody dies except the sweet lass who gets away, and
exactly has to raise 2 kids on her own. Like,
exactly. So where's CPS for that? Where's her child support? Who's helping her out?
But man, Nicole Kidman in this movie, she was quite the Ooh, I get
Yeah,
you.
I know.
You didn't like your husband. But man,
Yeah,
oh,
but it's just
man.
like, yeah, you didn't have to cheer when he, got run through.
Oh, and it was creepy too. Where, never mind that one scene. I was like, that's getting pretty creepy. Thank
Yeah,
God. And it was just it's too much like
yeah,
Oedipus Rex and
right,
weird overtones. I'm like, don't want to go there.
right.
But if you are interested in a very intense movie that will have you on your seat and you're like, where the hell is this going? It's very odd.
Yeah, right.
See this
Very
movie,
true.
but it is
Yes.
very gory.
Yeah, very, very gory. Not enough nudity, so big
Yeah.
thumbs down. But
Yeah.
Anya Taylor-Joy's butt made it all the worthwhile. Just
Yeah,
saying.
but you got to see everybody else's too. So it's like,
Oh, okay.
everybody's nude. Everybody's
Well,
yeah.
I liked hers best. Carrying on, moving on.
Yes. So lastly, the journey is over, Charlie, for the Expanse.
The search is over. Sing it with me, Todd.
Yes.
You were with me all the while. Stay with us here.
That was the theme song for Enterprise, right? No, just kidding.
Oh, it should have been. Damn.
Yes.
Todd, one of these times you got to start singing with me, and then we'll finish with "I'm Here All Night" on the Wave.
Yes,
smooth
jazz. Yes, the
Yes,
Quiet Storm. No, but rather than quiet jazz, we're going to talk about the Expanse, which finally finished its voyage. 6 seasons. It was canceled by Sci-Fi because of cost. Amazon picked it up, and it was a success story. It only got 2 seasons. 2 seasons, I think, on Sci-Fi. Then got 4 more seasons on Amazon. That is amazing. And thank God Amazon's got a lot of money because the show didn't suffer. It looked good.
Thank God they've got money.
Exactly. They kept their budgets up and it was amazing. My biggest complaint was I only got the last season was only 6 episodes. It really needed to be 10 because you felt they rushed everything. Now, I think they had a good finish, but I think they could have had more time to really develop some story points. There was this one storyline that got brought in. I'm like, I still don't know what the hell that was. It was, I think it was meant to be something more, but they just had to cut it, which I have to look and do some like, what the hell was that? Because it's very odd and was underdeveloped and didn't make sense. But everything else, these actors, and they did so much heavy lifting, the pain when you saw what they're going through, it was phenomenal. And they did so many touchstones of things that you experienced in the past and made you remember all of the sacrifices they made. And actors who are gone because of
actors.
Yeah, I mean, it was just really bittersweet. And I would love if they made almost like a like when Farscape ended, it was canceled too soon, but they made like a movie. Almost like it was like a 2-hour movie just to kind of like wrap up all the last pieces. I think we could get that with the Expanse, but I don't know if they're gonna get it. But man, it was such a great surprise and a new canon into a new property that wasn't based on Marvel, DC, or something else. It was just a book that someone said this is awesome and should be shared by more people who don't like reading books. Like me, who falls asleep after 3 pages.
Books make me sleepy. Yeah, I know I'm bad. I'm bad. I got to be stuck somewhere where I can't watch TV to read a book.
Oh, I know. I'm horrible. As soon as I start reading, I'm like, why am I nodding off? And I've read that same page 18 times.
Bonk. The trick is not to read in bed, but then if you're sitting not in bed, you're like, I'd rather be doing something else. I know it's
exactly.
Terrible.
It's just it's hard. But I mean, it's goals, and if I get some sleep, maybe I'll be able to stay up longer versus have 18 cups of coffee.
Is dead. Oh my goodness. Well, speaking of segueing it over here, while April was having her surgery yesterday, I had, of course, the nice long wait in the family lounge or whatever. So I decided to actually read some flippity flop comic books. And I had heard on various podcasts and just the buzz, this and that, about this War of the Bounty Hunters that the Marvel Comics and the Star Wars miniseries did probably late last summer, or it ran through last fall. And I thought, they're cramming, they're finding a way. And I read a bit of it back then, but I kind of dropped off because I dropped off kind of comics altogether.
The hunt for Han Solo's body.
Yeah, it was, they're cramming in like a bunch of this and that. And, it's like, how much time period can we fit into this 6 months or a year or whatever it was that was between, Empire and Jedi? And they did it in massive Marvel crossover style. It was 6 issues. I didn't end up finishing it. I think I'm on 5, and then it was time for us to go home. So I'm like, iPad is now on a shelf somewhere, and I'll read the rest of it again in the next time one of us has to go to the emergency room. I don't know. I'll pick it up at some point. But honestly, I think they did some interesting things with it. They brought back Kira from Solo, a Han Solo Star Wars movie, which I enjoy. I actually watched that yesterday because it was the anniversary of that film, and it had its moments. It was a heavy Boba Fett piece, which you could like him because he was still a villain and he wasn't trying to be too deep, which is I think what we hated certainly about the show. Yeah, and they stole out some cool moments. So again, I know we walk the fine line with the Star Wars comics, and I know John's not a fan, and I go back and forth. I did also read a more recent issue of the Marvel comics where Luke is and it's in the same time frame. He's trying to find his path as a Jedi instead of just going back to Yoda, which I feel like would have been the natural thing for him to do, but he didn't. He ended up on this Jedi planet where he was, to find, answers through the living force. You submerge yourself in this ocean and it gives you visions, but then it also doesn't let you go. So Luke was having this vision rapping with this other Jedi, and then figured out that the undersea was all littered with Jedi bodies, and Luke managed to escape.
It's like the siren.
It was, yeah, exactly correct. So,
is that like Luke gets a 4-day weekend because of a holiday away from the rebellion and can do stuff like that?
He does seem to take off a lot and he gets excused absence because just to Leia, I got to go do this thing where I'm checking out my thing with Force. All right, Luke, that's cool. We're just going to hang out here and get our asses kicked because it's not like we need you because you're one of our best pilots or whatever.
We got it.
We're good. We're already down to Han Solo, but we picked up Lando. So. Oh no, it's interesting.
I think those stories are fine. They're comics. I mean, it's like you can, when that's the only time, that's the only place you're getting anything OT these days.
Right.
Once again,
exactly.
If you're not going to give us something, might give us something, and
because we get near post OT and super near pre-OT. That's basically where they're
exactly. It's
right
like
now.
They don't want to play in that era. We talked about this, Charlie, and we have thoughts on that. We've talked about how they can do it, but apparently there's just they're so scared. It's like the Holy Grail. You don't touch it because if we screwed up, the fans will rebel. I'm like, the fans have already rebelled. I think you can make a lot of people happy if you just try some new things.
It'll be. But speaking of, and it's funny because this next thing is it's the opposite of trying new things in Star Trek, but they're doing a tried and true format, and people are loving at it. I have not read anybody who's had anything negative to say about Strange New Worlds in the last since last we recorded. Maybe I can't remember since last we recorded, but anyway, episodes 3 and 4. Episode 4, I watched it this morning. Todd, where are you at with it?
I watched 4 as well. Charlie going to the gym has allowed me to catch up, and
there you
go. Man, the show. You're absolutely right.
I love it.
This is like the natural progression to what they were doing with Voyage and Enterprise, but the writing and everything else is so much tighter.
I mean, I really dug in episode 4. In they employed some familiar tropes like, stuck in a cargo bay and we've got to blow stuff out into space in order to survive. That was a trope that went from the original Battlestar Galactica to an episode of TNG to this, and they still did it great. Yeah. They did the submarine were stuck in a gas cloud and don't have sonar. They did that in an episode of DS9, and they did it great there, and they did it better here. And I loved dealing with the security chief with Lan. The one who's related to Khan. The one who's related to Khan.
Yes.
Dealing with
Khan.
Long Khan. Like the Long Khan.
Yes.
Dealing with her PTSD with the Gorn, who was the villain of this episode.
Yeah.
They were great. I love going back to episode 3 last week, which was a character study of number 1, and the fact that we found out that she's a friggin' alien. She's a genetically altered colonist that helped the Enterprise during this mission escape this virus that got sucked onto the ship, and then revealed that part of it was through the fault of the medical officer who has a child he has stored in the pattern buffer because she's dying of disease. And it's good stuff. They do it in ways that, again, some of it is kind of tropish, but like you said, the writing is tight, the pacing is tight, and it just all feels really great. So I'm loving on Strange New Worlds, and my Strange New Worlds uniform top is on the way. Ordered the pants today. The boots come in July. I'm working on my hair. Oh, well, that's it. I know we're busy. You love it. This is riffing.
It's like two old ladies. Yeah, two old ladies.
Waiting for the bus.
Yes.
So let's wrap it up. And Todd, it's time to skip out on the check because the service was that bad. But we do have to get over to the Aeropuerto to get on Air Qantas to get down to the land down under. That's right. It's time for the Thunderdome, the mutants, and bringing them something new. Let's do it.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. We're sitting in the Thunderdome where the top... let's try that again.
And 3, 2, 1, go.
Thank you, Tina. We're sitting in the Thunderdome where the mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained. And this week, we're kind of doing a retrospective. And we're going to start with looking at the world of Geek and what basically our path to where we are today and how it was basically the road was paved with kind of the pioneers in an era where there just wasn't a lot of avenues and options to get content in the world of genre. So we figured we kind of take folks that are maybe a little younger and don't remember those days. You know, this predates us, but Charlie, you and I both got to experience a lot of those things because of syndication.
You better believe it.
There just wasn't a lot of, original content, so they had to replay this stuff.
You had Channel 66. I had TV 50 in Detroit. Well, you got TV 50 as well.
Well, and Detroit had Channel 20.
Yeah.
Todd,
and just for your geography buffs, Todd and I grew up about 70 miles from each other. So I'm from Metro Detroit. He's from Metro Flint.
Well, then you moved to the other side of the state. So, so I essentially got all the Detroit stations. So I got that plus some stuff from the middle part of we had 66, which is a Flint station. So I got a little bit of everything. So so growing up in a kid of the 80s, which we largely were, we did get a lot of this old content because there just was only so much versus today. There's so much of everything that's brand new. So we thought we'd walk you through kind of like some of the things that debuted in the era of the 60s. We were going to do 50s, but there's just not much there. The 50s, 40s, 30s, and 20s.
The swing in 50s, Daddy-O. Well, I'll take on this first one, and like you said, I'll skip the obvious ones. This would be television, or according to the notes here, Big T, Little V. But yeah, I'll take it from the bottom backwards, and we'll just mention the ones that, and thank God for the short page. But certainly some stuff that I've never heard of. Let's see here. Let me latch on the first thing I have heard of. Doctor Who obviously came along in the 60s. That is a production from the UK. The Thunderbirds, Marionettes, was in 1965. I don't know that I ever caught this anywhere. Todd, how about you?
I did. I did. Okay. It was pretty bad, but it was entertaining, and it was just weird to see these marionettes talk and go on adventures, and they do their marionette walking. This is kind of why you got America Team. What is it? America's Team.
Oh, America World
Team
Police.
America World Police. Yeah. Same thing
America.
Here.
Yeah, big stuff.
Yeah, but this was kind of like, it was a way to do really fantastical things on the cheap with marionettes and miniatures. And actually, your buddy Jonathan Frakes directed a Thunderbirds.
Yes, he did in the early aughts, if I'm not, or the late 90s even. But yeah. Clearly that rocketed him to even bigger success. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, marionettes have just never really taken off huge, but this was a product of its time. Now, something a little bit higher up on the list that I didn't realize it was so short is The Prisoner, which was another UK series starring Patrick McGoohan, who I believe he later went on to have a role in Battlestar Galactica. Wasn't he the Count?
I believe so. Yeah,
I think Count Ibley, I believe, and who is a villainous character. So yeah, that was a great one. But yeah, it was a spy fiction with elements of sci-fi, psychological drama. A British secret agent taken and held prisoner in a mysterious coastal village resort where his captors try to find out why he abruptly resigned from his job. Weird. And 17 episodes. I mean, I could knock that shit right out. I wonder if that's maybe that's on BBC America or BritBox or something. I'd be curious.
It might be, but yeah, it was kind of known for the fact that it was trying to do one story arc, which was kind of like unique at the time. And definitely a cult classic. Yeah, definitely doing things kind of probably inspired more like shows like Lost and shows like Alias, probably.
Yeah. Gotcha. We have a pair of, and again, I'm not sticking too strictly to this list, but we have a couple of kind of anthology series,
Yeah,
the Outer Limits, which came on in the mid '60s, and at the top of this list is the Twilight Zone, which is actually from October of 1959. So we're cheating just a little bit, but beyond classics. And Twilight Zone is neck and neck with these people, with of course the original Star Trek, which came out in 1966. But the Twilight Zone has so many absolute. I mean, in the vignettes in the Twilight Zone, the episodes were 5 or 10 minutes each. They were just literally these little crazy short stories, hosted by Rod Serling, and the music and his introduction are synonymous with the era, and really with fantasy and science fiction and turning things on its ear. There's of course you have Burgess Meredith as the guy who survives the nuclear explosion, and he just wants to be alone. He's a librarian, and he's the last man left on Earth. He stumbles through the rubble, into a library with more books than he could ever imagine, and he drops and shatters his glasses, and he can't see. And he says,
It's
"There
like
was
the
time
monkey
now."
paw.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or
you get what you wish for in a unfortunate fashion.
Or the woman in Bronston surgery, and they're pulling her wrappings off, and she is a beautiful, normal looking woman, but all the surgeons and the nurses have pig faces. It's just turning everything on its ear. Absolutely.
You didn't know where the twist was going to happen, and
exactly.
M. Night Shyamalan was obviously really inspired by that. Steven Spielberg was as well, with Amazing Stories, which we got in the 80s. But yeah, I mean, The Outer Limits was more sci-fi focused. Twilight Zone was telling just anthology stories with weird twists. Another one that sticks out to me, Charlie, is The Avengers, which was essentially just a interesting duo.
Quick sidebar. The Patrick McGowan, not the guy in Battlestar Galactica, but Patrick Macnee was, because that Macnee is, because that's the dude's face. Was the Count in Battlestar. So there we go. And absolutely. Diana Rigg, who later in one of the last roles of her career was a very elderly matriarch on the Game of Thrones, wasn't she? Wasn't that her?
Absolutely, yes. Yes, she was fantastic. Yes, we loved her. Yes.
And
Tyrell.
Honor Blackman, Pussy Galore herself. My goodness.
Yes. And one honorable mention would be Lost in Space. That was once again a science fiction show with a family doing their thing, and it was now brought back to Netflix. But once again, I mean, you've got Dr. Smith, the robot, classics there that inspired future shows. So yeah, I mean, the 60s definitely, they got to try some things. So, that's pretty cool that we got that. So we're going to move on to toys and just do a pivot there, Charlie, because this really was the first era of real toys for kids.
Oh my God, Todd! Up first in the pre-roll, you were griping about Andor and Star Wars, and I said, Todd, it's like the monkey with the cymbals, and it's the very first thing on this list is the vintage clapping monkey toy, the thing you clap and it does that. Things that amuse kids, along with, I mean, number 2 on this list blows my mind. With the vintage clapping monkey, not so much, but the number 2 one, holy cow! Original Rock'em Sock'em robots?
Absolutely. Everybody knocked the heads off, and they keep bringing it back. I think Target just brought that version back. And it was really because kids loved robots, and it was interactive toy. It was fun. I mean, and other than that, I mean, if you look at this list, I mean, the toys are pretty generic. We did get G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
We did get G.I. Joe, the 12-inch figures. Yep, Viewmaster, Spirograph. A lot of like crafting stuff, which was interesting. Yeah, I mean, but it was pretty limited. I mean, there just wasn't anything that was like, wow, toys were great.
Right.
And they really weren't.
Yeah,
I had Mr. Machine. You
my God.
It up, you could see his gears. Yeah.
Gotcha. Ooh, the original cap guns. Bam, bam. I had a few of those. We just put a row of caps in it and snapping its way through.
Light Bright, Charlie. I owned a Light Bright. Yeah, I mean.
Oh, my goodness. Captain Kangaroo, Presto.
Operation was created.
Oh, man. The original Ken doll. Look at that.
Easy Bake Oven. I mean,
Skipper.
Barrel of Monkeys. I mean, so kids... You are blessed that you had more to play with than the Fisher-Price Little People and Kaleidoscope.
Oh my God! But segueing
or the Batman hand puppet.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
I'm having fun.
Oh
folks.
my God! I like it, but we had some crazy shit. We're going to dovetail into talk about horror films.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my good God! And I think that just looking over this list, I would say Hitchcock ruled the roost. No pun intended. In particular, we had The Birds in 1963. We had Psycho in 1960 with Janet Leigh, which was I think it was pretty synonymous because it showed, oh God, you saw women in the shower, even though you didn't really see anything. But yeah, it was, and that movie, in the end of it, was just kind of terrifying for its ramifications, as opposed to being a slasher film of any kind. But yeah, I mean everything on this list is pretty much black and white. A lot of these films,
we did get Rosemary's Baby, which was
that's
definitely
the
a
big
turn
one.
with
Oh.
definitely a message about women's, owning their bodies. This is a time when women
owning your
were
body
trying
and the devil.
they were trying to claim their bodies back from men, and
Right.
the pill and everything. So I think it was kind of really a part about that was controlling the reproductive the organs, and I mean, which is great. I mean, it was part of the revolution. We had Night of the Living Dead, which was a piece about society, where we had a black lead in a horror film, which was so different than what we're used to.
Right.
I mean,
and it really revolutionized the genre, without a doubt, and led us into the whole era of The Walking Dead and all these things that we have these days. So
yeah,
I
mean, in Hollywood was transitioning from like the really goofy stuff, the I was a teenage werewolf and stuff from the 50s where there wasn't a lot of great horror films. They're holding off from like the Universal monsters, and they were trying to get a little bit more complex and do some different things. And even like this last summer, Charlie, we had our friends had us over to watch a movie in their backyard called Black Sunday. It was an Italian film that kind of dealt with like possession and witches, which it's still a little cheesy. We laughed at times, but you could tell they were trying to do some cool stuff in 1960, which, give them credit for that.
Absolutely. So moving right along to the science fiction is a little bit more up our alleyway here. Again, a lot of stuff that doesn't immediately jump off at me. I'd not seen 2001: A Space Odyssey, which came out in 1968, since I was probably a teenager, because my dad's like, this is an important movie. You've got to watch this movie. And it was all about the monolith and the apes, and pay attention to the apes and they evolve and stuff. And I'm like, one of the first real hints I got how much my dad is my dad, who's kind of a manly man, is into science fiction and geek stuff, kind of in his own way.
Mm-hmm.
Really love that flick. And the star of the star of this film, I can't do that, Dave, is Gary Lockwood. Yeah, the human star was Gary Lockwood, who was in the second pilot of Star Trek. He was Kirk's best friend, Gary Mitchell, the guy who got transformed into an Esper, and he had god powers, and Kirk had to take him down. And I think that was just about it that he was ever in. But a long list of this was the era of the great movie one sheets that were largely animated, because you had Barbarella, obviously, which was like a
go hippie, just having fun science fiction, with Jane Fonda, kind of.
Exactly.
And that movie was goofy. It was kind of like you could see parts of Barbarella in like the Flash Gordon movie in a way, so you could see where the influence was. But I mean, Charlie, you get some of these like classic books like that put on screen, like Fahrenheit 451. Yeah. I mean, and then you get some of these classics like Village of the Damned, which has been done many, many times.
Right. Beginning of the Chuck Heston classic Planet of the Apes, which has currently led to the spread of monkeypox, according to social media.
I mean, but then you had like real science and trying to see what we could do with it in the screen. I remember watching Fantastic Voyage as a kid, syndication, where you had these scientists shrunk down and put into the human body, the Fantastic Voyage.
Right. Oh,
and you get to see as a kid, you get to see there's platelets. There's platelets and there's viruses in the. I mean, I'm like, that was so cool as a kid. But I mean, they really tried some things that were interesting. I mean, the Time Machine. I remember loving that movie. Jules Verne, bringing that to the modern times, which was really neat. I mean, so it was their first opportunity to really bring these cool stories to life in a way that was really neat. Even Invasion of the Triffids, which was kind of a cool science fiction tale of where they blinded, like this alien invasion came in and they blinded everyone so they couldn't see it. So these aliens could just essentially snatch up people who are blind, who would walk into them, and then one person was not blind.
Aggressive plants. Oh my! I like the description of this last movie on the list, Journey to the Far Side of the Sun. To the European Space Council sends 2 astronauts to explore a planet similar to Earth located on the opposite side of the sun. I'm all. Where's the remake of that one? That is a solid plot line.
Opposite side of the sun.
Yeah, exactly.
Might as well all rotate around the sun.
Well, it must be.
Planet is not there.
So positioned that you can't. It's in a blind spot. You can't see it.
Apparently, it just hovers around the sun constantly.
Oh my god!
It's like hanging out in that warp cloud that we just saw in the latest Star Trek.
That's what it was.
Cartoons. Cartoons.
Jim,
so much fun.
This must be the best part of the list right here because, again, I just love the kickoff to this because you have going from right to left Scooby-Doo, Underdog, Fred Flintstone, and the animated Paul McCartney from the Beatles cartoon. God, I haven't seen that in years. But yeah, what a laundry list of great stuff. The Flintstones, which kicked off in 1966. Bugs Bunny. Alvin and the Chipmunks. Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse.
Oh, Charlie, I watched this cartoon on Channel 20 in the morning. Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse was such a weird, like, Batman spinoff. It was poorly animated and so dumb. But as a kid, that's all you got.
This said right here, this was the blurb says it really went on to be more of a generating the campy feel that gave to the Batman series because this was a few years before.
Well, it was created by Bob Kane as well.
Oh, there you go. So it really is. So, but my God, the Jetsons, McGill Gorilla, Tennessee Tuxedo.
So many bad Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
Yeah, Tennessee Tuxedo and his tails. Oh God, the anime. Johnny Quest. Oh wow,
that's a
very problematic look with the Rachi and his
well,
hijab. Yikes. Peter Potamus, Underdog, which we talked about.
You can skip most of these crappy Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
The Beatles, though. The Beatles. Oh, it doesn't really. I'm sorry. I'm a Beatles absolute nutcase, but it just even really reading right through this does not exist anywhere to be watched, which is a bummer.
But I mean, I think the key ones to take away are like Space Ghost. Alex Toth designed the costumes, created the characters, and just iconic designs that just were let down by the actual, production of the show. But but people remember the way they look. I mean, and then the Marvel shows were horrible. I mean,
God, the Fantastic Four, the Hulk, Iron Man,
the Spider-Man series from the 60s.
Oh, maybe the Herculoids. Good, like you said, Hanna-Barbera stuff. Oh, Samson and Goliath. God, Shazam. It looks like Sinbad. What the hell? What the hell is Shazam? It's bad.
Well, it was bad. But I think the standout, I mean, we did get some Japanese animation finally coming to the States, so people got some really cool shows to watch that they just had never heard of before. It was really cool.
Todd, here's spun off the movie you just talked about, Fantastic Voyage, which was on for a year. It was cartoon.
Absolutely. And then I think the one that is survived the longest, and just amazing how evergreen the series is, and that's Scooby-Doo. Debuted in 1969.
Right. Yeah. And 50, 50, almost as old as the original Star Trek. So now, going on for 55 years.
I have never existed. I don't think there's ever been a year where there hasn't been something new in Scooby-Doo.
Probably not. Yes. It stays alive. So, this was fun. This was and you did a nice job putting this list together, so I have to commend you for that.
It was kind of tough to find some like succinct lists that kind of cover things, and obviously we would call. But we're gonna do this because I think we're gonna do the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s get a little harder because there's just so much. Right. So maybe it's only going up to the 90s to basically let people know before the age of streaming and cable, apparently.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Some of our listeners, if we're lucky, were probably born in the 90s, or some of them were not.
Oh, yeah. Like, a lot of our guests who've been on make us feel very old. Like our buddy Mark, who is almost 20 years younger than us, Charlie.
Oh, my God. And the people that
10 years younger.
Well, and people that Mark finds to have on Holocron with us are these kids the same age as my son. It's like, oh, my God. Yikes!
But we can be envoys to the younger class, and we can embrace the new things coming as well.
Indeed, we can. Well, with that, we put a wrap to this thing that we call podcastery. Todd, where do people find you out there in the social networks?
Oh, they can find me at T Oxtra. Always having a good time in the world of social networks. And I just want to give a quick plug. Check out our YouTube page. We talk about it in the end credits, but still, we're doing some good stuff. We've got a lot of people checking it out. We need subscribers, though, because if we get to 100, we will get our own URL. And that's where we're having all the fun. You get to see our reactions, our faces, and my cool background when Charlie's acting crazy. You can see his background. And I just think it's so much more fun to see our reactions and see where we're at. It's a companion, put on YouTube while you're working, and you can have fun along the way.
To quote Ron Burgundy, it's compelling and rich. You can find me over on the social medias, in particular on Twitter, at the C3, trying to share and have some good times. My wife April and I also run, as I mentioned earlier in the episode, the West Michigan chapter of the Star Trek International Fan Club. That would be the USS Grand Petoskey. Find us across all social media platforms at that. Join us, love us, talk about some Star Trek. I also try to fill up our Secret Friends Unite Facebook page with content when I get the opportunity, but we want to hear from you, so hit us up. With that, I'm going to tell you, friends, as always, thank you for joining us. Sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.